What is up, guys? Today I'm here to talk to you about the Ds-1, the Boss Ds-1. It has been a staple in the Boss series forever. So many artists have used it over the years, and it's a great little pedal. But I used to have a Carbon Legacy, and I was sadly disappointed in the Carbon Legacy because it just didn't have that gain I wanted it to have, that kind of Steve Vai cut your face off tone that I was looking for. I tried to figure out, how can I get that tone? How can I get that Steve Vai tone? He was playing it. Why can't I get that high gain, crazy tone? So I traded one of my buddies the Metal Zone pedal for the Ds-1. And I used it as a boost at the time because that's the impression I got from Steve Vai when he was playing the Ds-1, that he was boosting the amp with it. And so I boosted my amp with it, and I was still sadly disappointed by the lack of gain. Long story short, it was my mistake because I didn't know about the whole master volume and cranking your amp at the time and getting that full saturated tone from a tube amp. I hope I can get a Carbon Legacy eventually one day so I can go back to the experiment and try to find that massive tone, that massive gain I can get out of the thing. Besides all of that, the Ds-1 is a great pedal. I've used it as a boost for years, and it does sound pretty good as a boost. It's not as good as a Tube Screamer, but it gives you that nice square wave to it that really kind of gives you that extra cut you would need off of a lower gain type of amp. A lot of people use the Ds-1 as just a standard distortion pedal, and that's really what it kind of is. It's just your standard run-of-the-mill distortion pedal. You can get that rock AC/DC sound out of it. You get a nice chunk out of it, some cool Rolling Stones type riffs going on. It's not the hardest sounding distortion pedal you can get. You can get pretty decent gain sounds out of this thing. If I was to equate it to an amp, I would say you can get about JCM 800 type gain stages at best. One crazy thing I found about the Ds-1 is that it just does not take active pickups well. Rhythmically, with active pickups, it can be something you're looking for because you can get a really weighty type of heavy sound to it, but solo wise, you're gonna hear all that mud, and it's really hard to ignore, more or less. Today I'm using my buddy's Square Telecaster because I have no guitars that have passive pickups in them right now. So let's play some rock and blues type things and try my best to get some metal tones out of this thing. It's gonna be a challenge. Okay, this is my amp with the clean channel on. And this is the Ds-1. Kind of weird right there. Seen some days. Okay, let's try to get this thing as metal as possible. Right now I have the distortion pedal just maxed out, distortion wise, and it sounds like this. And we're gonna add a tube screamer to the mix because when it comes to metal guitar, just throw a tube screamer in front of it. Lastly, let's look at the DS1 as a boost pedal. The distortion is all the way off, the level is all the way up, and the tone knob is right at noon. I'm going to be using the more vintage style channel right here without the contour on the F100. I feel like the DS1 works best as a boost for a Marshall type gain amp. The vintage channel on this thing is somewhat up there with an old Marshall. So this is what it sounds like without the boost. And this is what it sounds like with the boost.